We all feel them. The forbidden, the sinful, the taboo. Behaviors that divide cultures and inspire fear. But our differences may be what make us all human. Witchcraft. For some, a quaint, even amusing concept.
Witches? I've never met one. I don't want to.
My mum would say, oh, it's rubbish, 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 rubbish.
But to some, the thought of having magic powers is tantalizing.
I haven't cast any spells, but I've certainly had strong thoughts about things that I'd like to happen.
Around the planet, witches, good and evil, are thriving, practicing an ancient art. They claim the power to heal or harm. In this hour, journey to Mexico, where an anthropologist studies witchcraft with scientific detachment, until an encounter with black magic overwhelms him. Meet a witch cleanser in Africa who fights evil against people who don't even know their own powers. Walk among witches in the United Kingdom who call upon spirits of nature to perform white magic. And wonder, if you had magic powers, how would you use them?
A place within.
Mexico City, home to 20 million people, most of them Catholics. The church forbids any dealings with witchcraft, saying it's the work of the devil. But for many Mexicans, the allure of magic, both good and evil, is irresistible.
Witchcraft is an explanation for suffering, for misfortune, for bad things that happen to you.
Alan Fisk is an anthropologist at UCLA.
Everybody would like to understand the world a little better than they really can, and witchcraft and magic beliefs, they make you believe that the world is controllable and understandable in a way that, for people who don't believe, it isn't.
Get this,
Believers find the tools of witchcraft at the Sonora Witches Market.
This is Afro-Caribbean.
Anthropologist Anthony Zavaleta has studied the Sonora Market for 25 years. He sees witchcraft in Mexico as an emblem of culture.
It's not so much a matter of whether or not I believe in it. Do I believe that it exists? Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's tangible. You can see it. You can hold it. You can record it and document it. Do I believe that someone has the ability to call upon the supernatural and evil forces to affect change and end? I don't know. I don't think I would say that.
The Sonora Market offers one-stop shopping for every witchcraft need. $1.50 buys bewitching perfume, or a talisman to ward off the evil eye. In every cranny of this maze, brujos, or witch doctors, peddle their cures. It's a market for even the most gruesome wares.
The classic example is human remains. So while you could not sell legally, openly, human remains, or you find cemetery dirt, but you can acquire, I don't think there's anything that you can't get.
Along with goods, the market provides services. In back rooms behind the stalls, nearly anything is possible. Spells can be cast or lifted. Customers can have their spirits cleansed or engage in satanic rites. It's all here. Curses fly, powered by wing of bat and tongue of pig. Witches bind hexes in black ribbon, ready for burial in a human grave. To sanctify these prayers, a live sacrifice, invoking the powers of darkness.
Pone como castigo una lengua corta y grande.
Curses like this are all too familiar to Dr. Zavaleta. As part of his research, he's studying with Alberto Salinas,
Witchcraft.
a healer who's come all the way from Texas.
It's being used for that.
Alberto is here to restock his hex-fighting kit. He believes he must fight fire with fire. This tree resin is an ingredient for sacred incense.
I use it in particular to cast out evil spirits from people who are possessed by demon spirits and people who have been put witchcraft on them to break up the witchcraft.
Witchcraft knows no borders. It has traveled hundreds of miles from Mexico City to a small town in Texas. Here, Alberto battles black magic every day. For 20 years, he's been helping people who feel they've been hexed. Alberto's magic combines Catholic symbols and native folk remedies. Limes, candles, crucifixes, each has its uses. Christian and pagan beliefs might seem to be at odds, but around the world, people often combine opposing faiths in an effort to exert more control over their lives.
When you have two belief systems that seem very different, people, I think, have an easy time of working with both of them.
Paul Stoller is an anthropologist at Westchester University.
It's sort of like someone who is multilingual. How do you keep both languages in your head? Depending on the context, a purely Catholic belief may be in order, but in another context, in a different situation, these other beliefs come to the surface.
In his healing, Alberto summons all the forces of good. He listens and counsels, comforting those who believe they're plagued by evil. As a folk healer, he understands that witchcraft takes many shapes. He listens for stories that tell him a client's troubles deserve more intense intervention. In McAllen, Texas, Thelma Pena believes a witch has placed a hex on her. When she ended a close friendship, bad things began to happen. Thelma began seeing and hearing strange sights and sounds. After dark, her house seemed to come alive.
When I'm lying on my bed and I feel something touching my feet, my hair, you can hear bangings in the walls. I can actually hear things running, like little footsteps running under my pillow.
Then one night she caught her former friend leaving odd objects in her yard. Thelma immediately fell ill and was convinced it was witchcraft. She became too sick to leave her house and got fired from her job. Thelma was convinced the witch was watching her constantly.
She knows that she's putting me through what she's putting me, dizziness. Sometimes, like, I feel like so ill, as in nauseated, wanting to throw up, and very, very dizzy. Very, very dizzy. I get cold sweats. Realizing that.
And just as she was telling her story.
Oh, hold on. Cut. Can you turn up the light like a little while, please?
Well, human physiology is not independent of human psychology. We know that people who believe that they've been cursed by powerful magicians and sorcerers sometimes do die from the fear. And we know that people who believe that somebody's worked black magic against them sometimes do get sick because they believe that they're going to get sick.
Thelma had to do something. Doctors were of no use. Neither were the priests at her church. After months of fighting on her own, Thelma has come to seek Alberto's help.
Mainly it's prayers, praying to God, to Virgin Mary, the Holy Spirit. It's prayers and cleansing so that He can remove the witchcraft that was done on you.
His efforts seem to be working.
I feel free now, free, totally free. I feel, my house feels clean. I can walk outside and feel the air, the breeze.
Once, stories like Thelma's were simply field data for Dr. Zavaleta. Then he had a personal brush with the reality of witchcraft. Coming up, science confronts the power of black magic.
Don't open that door, get out of here, please.
And later, a witch in Africa confesses to a horrible crime using a charm made of severed human fingers. And a witch in England uses his own blood to seal a spell. Dr. Anthony Zavaleta had a life-changing encounter with black magic. when he accompanied Alberto and other healers on a mission. A Mexican village had asked them to cleanse a hill where witches were thought to practice.
What we found and what we saw that day was just unbelievable. In 30 years of research, field research into brujeria and curanderismo, and I had never encountered anything like that and probably never will again.
They came to a site where black magic was rumored to take place. Dr. Zavaleta videotaped the events that followed.
Show it up here, Alberto. What is it, Alberto? Oh my God.
The healers had come upon nearly 100 objects, buried as part of a hexing ritual.
My God, look at that. That's unbelievable.
This is a work that was done to dominate a male also. They do it with making the knots and saying the invocations, and they invoke certain spirits, and it's also black magic.
Oh, hold it up for me. My God.
This is casting a spell over someone. This is got the garlics that somebody used to clean themselves. They put a belonging of the person that they want to cast a spell over. This is all. Most of it is black magic, though.
Is it evil?
Most of it is.
Just the sense and the feeling that I had of the people, men, women, children who were captured, so to speak, in those objects that are intended to break up marriages or break up relationships or to bring people together or more nefariously to kill people and end people's lives. That was a horrible thing. Jeez.
Artifact upon artifact oozed sinister intent. The healers felt they had to take action, and quickly.
Don't open that till I get out of here. It didn't get spooky until they started opening this stuff up. Then I started getting real worried about it. I didn't know what Alberto was going to do. But when he began to open these things up and to pour them out, and the wind was blowing, and this stuff begins to swirl around, I began to get very nervous about that.
For Alberto, the mission suddenly turned extremely dangerous.
When you break spells and evil spirits are concerned, you are in danger. You're going into somebody's territory, somebody's domain. It's obvious that if these people happen to find out that you've gone and destroyed something they've done, and they may try to do something to you.
Everyone present began to feel sick.
I became physically ill. I was ill. And everybody felt badly in one way or another.
With so much evil concentrated in one place, the healers felt their spirits were in jeopardy. Dr. Zavaleta suspended his disbelief and agreed to be cleansed.
A limpia, to use the Spanish word, a ritual sweeping and a cleansing to have whatever might have attached itself to us, to take it off of us, and hence make us whole and put us back together. I needed that.
His experience that day, in that place, pushed aside science and challenged his beliefs.
Well, I feel a lot better. The effect, whether real or imagined, was very real on me. And of course, an imagined effect or psychologically and emotionally induced effect that produces physiological change is valid, and it's real. But I've seen many things that I simply cannot explain.
Dr. Zavaleta's story is not uncommon. Science doesn't always conquer the supernatural.
The most famous anthropologist to study witchcraft was Evans Pritchard, a British anthropologist, and he started using oracles and consulting oracles because he found it was a way of resolving things that he couldn't resolve in any other way, answering questions and particularly making decisions that he couldn't make any other way.
For those who believe, witchcraft is all too real. In many cultures, life is a constant battle between good and evil. For some, witchcraft provides an easy explanation when things go wrong. But what if your very thoughts could cause harm to others? What would you do if you became the target of a witch hunt? Trouble is brewing in the village of Zaka. Beneath the placid surface of life in this Zimbabwean farm town lurks the dark side of human existence. Jealousy, lust, thievery. To intervene, the village chief will ask for help from a man he believes has the power to root out and eliminate evil. In Zaka, Zimbabwe, it's time to bring in the witch cleanser. In central Zimbabwe, witches are a part of life. When crops fail, when relatives fight, when neighbors feud, the first suspicion is witchcraft. Anyone here could be a witch, sometimes without even knowing it.
In certain societies, it's believed that all people have the capacity to cause mystical harm to others.
Isaac Niehaus is a South African anthropologist who teaches at Yale University.
This capacity is activated by feelings of hatred, feelings of envy, that somehow this would activate the power of witchcraft inside you, and that these powers would harm someone when you are not conscious of it, when you are asleep.
That's what people say is happening in Zaka. One night, nature sent shockwaves through the village, alerting the chief.
There were owls crowing outside throughout the night. There were jackals barking. The owls and the jackals are used by the witches to organize their meetings, and there was food disappearing. We realized it was being taken away by the servants of the witches.
The chief knew who to call. Sikuru Chinambiri, who comes from a long line of witch cleansers. Chinambiri travels all over Africa, searching for practitioners of dark magic.
If a village is beset by misfortune, there is belief that there are witches operating in the village, and so a witch cleanser is then called in, and this is someone that uses medicines to wash the power of witchcraft off the villagers.
Chinambiri arrives in Zaka with his singers and drummers, whose playing will accompany his ritual cleansing. The music awakens benevolent spirits, in hopes that they'll chase away evil. The cleansing begins like a trial. Chinambiri will judge individuals, finding them innocent or guilty of practicing witchcraft. A balancing device will decide their fate.
It will only balance on an innocent person. If you're a witch, it won't balance.
Witchfinders have many different techniques, and often what they're offering, or what makes them appealing, is that they have a new technique that nobody else has, and people are impressed by how well this technique works.
Part prosecutor, part priest, Chinambiri interrogates suspects.
I can read people's minds. I can divine. I can channel. I can see everything, what a person is thinking about. Nobody knows my trick. I'm always like a fool. I joke with them. I don't show people that I have powers to control or dominate them. So these people will always feel at home. But the moment that they relax, I advance.
He thinks this woman has been using potions and charms, tools of witchcraft. She admits she was trying to have power over her husband.
Where is your husband?
My husband has many wives, so I used a charm to make him want only me. But now he has left me.
No. He deserted you because you used an evil charm. It's bad luck.
The witch cleanser will destroy the charm and help the woman decide to stop using witchcraft forever. Regardless of their actual guilt or innocence, the accused usually confess.
If somebody is accused of witchcraft, they're in a terrible bind, because if everybody suspects them of witchcraft, but they deny it, then they have no way of being restored to good standing.
Witch cleansing is used to maintain a kind of social control and to maintain social customs. It's an attempt to bring balance and harmony to a village where there is disharmony.
Shinambiri has his hands full here in Saka when a letter arrives. Another village needs his help. He and his entourage will go there tonight, protected by darkness. Coming up, the witch cleanser is tested by an evil charm that contains severed human fingers. And later, a witch in England casts a protection spell, sealed with his own blood. In Zimbabwe, villagers gather, and the witch cleanser gets to work. The chief wants everyone tested. They're nervous, and for good reason. In the past, when witch cleansers have come to this village, the chief chose to banish those found guilty of witchcraft.
I moved more than 5 family households from their homes after a healer told me they were witches. With all my villagers, we went to their houses and asked them to leave.
Now more people could be banished, which would take away their land and their livelihood. People here already have their suspicions about who is a witch.
A lot of tensions in society are hidden, are not spoken about, are unsaid. And these accusations bring the tensions out into the open, where they can be resolved. The witch cleanser is almost like a social analyst who restores social relationships in the village.
Shinambiri reveals what people do and say behind closed doors. Actions motivated by greed, jealousy, hatred, the desire for revenge. This man acknowledges using an evil charm. The charm contains actual human fingers. But that's not all. He claims it gives him the power to have sex with women while they sleep. He atones in public for his transgression, vowing to his neighbors that he'll never make or use such charms again. The chief is satisfied with the cleansing. Confession brings relief, not only to the sinner, but to his neighbors.
In many societies, when witches are caught, they're not punished. It's sort of like the insanity defense, right? You kill someone, but you're insane, therefore you go to a mental institution rather than face the death penalty.
Here, public confession elicits forgiveness. The chief has found a new way to deal with those who break the rules. This time, no one will be banished.
I learned a new lesson that I will no longer expel any of the villagers from now on. I will simply invite a man like Sakura Chinambiri. Then the charms are destroyed, and the person is normal again, and we can accommodate it in the village.
Shinambiri has revealed crimes and helped the guilty find forgiveness. He'll leave the villagers elated and happy. An example of a witch hunt that brought peace.
So I think I'm not only doing a witchcraft exorcism in order to destroy things. I also want to be constructive and unify the community. So that when I come again, they will welcome me as a unit.
Take away the charms, hexes, and divining tools, and you find human nature. In Zimbabwe, witchcraft is as common as feelings of jealousy, lust, and greed. Emotions that, uncontrolled, can unleash evil. But in some cultures, witchcraft offers people a way to feel that they have more control over their lives. It's a religion that rewards faith with magic. In Europe and America, the religious form of witchcraft has faced a long history of persecution. In medieval times, Christians believed witches did the devil's bidding.
The witch was seen as the enemy of God. The witch was seen as the human collaborator with Satan.
The church used charges of witchcraft against its perceived enemies. Thousands died in flames at the stake, Perhaps the most notorious witch trials took place in Salem, Massachusetts, in 17th century America. And yet witchcraft survived. What if your faith gave you the power to heal or harm? How would you use it? Today, in England, witchcraft and its more modern incarnation, Wicca, are pagan religions. Wiccans worship the gods and spirits of nature. In return for their faith, the spirits grant them the power of magic.
There is no good or bad magic, there is just magic. It's all about power. And whether it's good or bad really depends on the point of view of the person being affected.
Magic still inspires fear. Most witches practice in deep secrecy. Nathan Harris learned witchcraft from his mother.
People just think you're a nutter. People just stay out of the way.
He's well acquainted with the power of magic, as well as its perils.
Oh, cursed are they that have ruined our
Nathan has come to these woods to cast a protection spell.
Are they that have sealed out the wells.
He believes that other witches might wish him harm.
That abandoned the gods' hands and built.
He'll ask the gods and spirits for protection.
For the children.
A request he is prepared to seal with his own blood. He addresses his favorite god.
I call upon the god of the witches, the winged horned one. I happen to know that the god of the witches is quite fond of whiskey. It gets me results.
Now he is ready to cast his spell, using a psalm from the Bible.
I believe that various sections of the Bible are in fact a book of magic.
Be not merciful unto any wicked transgressors. Slay them not, lest my people forget.
With this spell, Nathan asks the spirits to shield him from those who wish him ill.
Scatter them by thy power, and bring them down, O Lord. Consume them in wrath.
Protect me, my family, and my kin from all who would cast the evil eye upon us, for all who would slander us, for all who would betray us. Selah.
His own blood binds him to his guardian spirits.
Blood is a medium for contact with the gods and the spirits in many, many religions. Fluids of the body, and blood in particular, form really inalienable and enduring and intense connections with the spirit world, but also with each other.
Blood is only one way witches connect to the spirit world. They believe numerous deities work in nature and across the universe. Those gods and spirits transmit energy that empowers certain humans to work magic. Whether they use it for good or for evil is up to each individual.
The witchcraft that I practice, the idea of ultimate good and ultimate evil is quite nonsensical. I don't actually see that in the world around me. I don't see people that are ultimately good or ultimately evil, and the spirits are the same.
As a boy, Nathan was not afraid to experiment with the evil side of witchcraft. When a bully picked on him, he fought back with magic.
It's quite sad, really. I mean, there was a boy, he was probably, he was quite strange himself, but he was bigger than me and decided to pick on me. So I summoned a spirit that pushed him down a flight of steps and he didn't come back to school.
Nathan believes the boy was hurt badly.
That's pretty grim, isn't it? Really.
Since then, he's turned away from evil.
I've come a long way from wasting my time throwing curses at people. People come to me and they say, well, will you curse so-and-so for me, and I usually ask, why? Why can't you just walk away?
Many people in England walked away from witchcraft long ago.
A lot of losing the belief in sort of magic and witchcraft corresponds to the rise of science. The whole idea of the Enlightenment was to expunge superstitious belief from rational discourse. That's really the foundation of Western civilization as we know it today.
Science tries to provide rational explanations, but it can't explain everything. And in England, some people use witchcraft to fill the gap. Gailey's card sees witchcraft as a powerful alternative to science. The potential of white magic drew her to Wicca. Now she's studying to become a full-fledged witch.
I like the name witch, and I suppose in a way I'd like to reclaim it as being a good word and standing for all the things that I believe in.
She has her husband's complete support, though he has no interest in witchcraft himself. She knows others will not be so accepting.
I'm very careful about who I tell. I'm very careful about here's my pentacle. There it is. That sits by me, and I have a great belief that it should be next to my body as opposed to on show. There is a lot of prejudice still.
Once a month, Gailey's meets with her coven, a group of like-minded witches who bolster one another in their faith. They call themselves the Raven and the Rose. When witches gather in a circle, they believe they can weave stronger magic.
We've had people that are desperately ill with cancer and things like that, and they ask for a release from their disease, their terrible illness, and we do our best. It's a procreation festival.
Tonight will be Gailey's first time participating in a secret ritual. Members of the Raven and the Rose choose initiates carefully.
You need to have that maturity, that knowledge of who you are. Not really everyone can handle the magic that comes up in a circle.
And magic doesn't always deliver. Having cast spells since boyhood, Nathan Harris thought his powers would guarantee him success. At 20, living in London, he was struggling to support himself as an artist.
This is a place I stayed in. It's now taken over by my brother. See how he is? Jasper. Bless you, brother. How you doing, brother?
At first, Nathan used his magic to help him find jobs and new places to live. But in time, he found himself on the streets, amid drug addicts and prostitutes. He began to lose faith in witchcraft.
It seems to be real, to such a degree that I believe in it. Not all the time do I believe in it. Sometimes then, it all seems pretty pointless.
Over time, Nathan learned to ask for small favors, and his magic began to work again. Coming up, 2 covens, a host of spirits, and a leap into the flames.
Red sandalwood for passion.
It's April 30th. Tomorrow, witches all over England celebrate what they call the first day of summer, Beltane. As High Priestess of the Raven and the Rose, Jeanette Ellis will lead her coven's Beltane ritual.
We're cooking up an incense for Beltane. Making an incense is a spell. The different ingredients that go into it, like making a cake, you blend them all together and they all have specific jobs within the cake, or the incense in this case, and we'll burn that tonight.
On Beltane, the coven will thank the gods for the Earth's renewed fertility. For witches, only Halloween, All Hallows Eve, is more sacred.
We take the energy of the goddess and god, of earth and air and fire and water. The energies of the universe I place within.
Across Europe, witches are celebrating this night. While the Raven and the Rose coven meets at a secret location, Nathan and fellow witches gather at a historic hut outside London. Each coven will invoke the gods and spirits most important to them. Nathan has chosen to play the role of darkness, a reminder that winter will return.
Blessed be.
The ceremony evokes ancient beliefs.
Most of the world's religions are not monotheistic. People often imagine that the world is populated by all kinds of beings, and that all of those beings have an effect on their lives.
To honor those beings, both covens will celebrate the return of summer.
Great goddess, lord of the skies.
Each witch can ask the gods for a gift. This rite will bring Gailey's closer than she has ever been to the spirit world.
Weave your web of dark and light, earth, air, fire and water.
find us all as one.
Let nothing impure enter herein. Let no one be present, unless they come with an open heart.
The guardians of the Earth's four quarters are summoned.
Guardian of the East, Spirit of Air, I call upon you to protect our circle and witness our rites. I ask for a blessing. Come, ye guardians of the South. Come, ye elementals of fire. Guard this place set out of time. Magic is like electricity. You can use it for an electric chair, for a newborn baby's crib. It's completely impartial. What is not impartial is the witches.
Their ritual shows appreciation for the return of summer and renewal.
Beltane is the celebration of life.
At the other coven's ritual, Nathan's role is to show that darkness and light will always be at odds.
For love has no meaning until tested by temptation. And courage has no meaning until tested by fear. Ah! Ah! I am beaten.
It's a warning. Do not take summer for granted.
And so, the time of seasons passes. I pass, but may never be banished.
Such calls to the supernatural might seem silly to outsiders, but belief can be a strange thing.
We like to say that we are rational. We don't believe in supernatural. But if you watch what people do, they engage in supernatural practices all the time. Some people don't like to walk under ladders. Some people have an aversion to black cats. We have all these beliefs that many of us don't like to admit to, but we practice these kinds of things.
Homage paid, the witches can ask for their gifts from the gods.
Wisdom! Yuck!
Then, as with Holy Day celebrations everywhere, it's time for the party to begin. For most in England, Beltane is known as May Day, an ancient feast still celebrated widely. Despite the fears, their faith still sparks. Witches figure in May Day festivals across England. The Raven and the Rose Coven seizes the opportunity to march proudly through the streets. They also come to challenge prejudice. On this day, Nathan has another reason to celebrate.
Under my trousers, not my legs. The horns continue up to about here. Oh, God.
His drawings of the spirits of witchcraft have earned him acceptance at art school.
I was completely honest with him and just said, hey, look, this is my work. This is my subject matter. This is why.
Nathan is finally seeing prejudice wane. The allure of white magic has brought attention to witches' work as healers, artists, and spiritual guides. And as reminders that the celebration of the earth, the sky, and the seasons is humankind's oldest faith. Skeptics will always see witchcraft as evidence of an overactive imagination, but even those who study it with scientific detachment do not doubt its power.
I can't explain sorcery, magic, or witchcraft in scientific terms. I mean, I could give you all sorts of explanations. Say it's a social control device, it's symbolic manipulation. That makes us feel comfortable. When we say, okay, I can explain magic, but I have experienced and seen things that I can't understand.
In societies where magic is alive, witchcraft takes many forms. An evil force that threatens communities. A religion of spirits. A means of exerting power over others.
To suggest that we know everything that there is to know, I think is rather foolish. There are things out there that we don't understand. There are powers, forces, hidden forms of knowledge that will still become known in the future.
As with any instrument of power, witchcraft is a reflection of the humans who use it. It is a tool for good and evil, the acceptable and the taboo.